order at 6:01. Please stand for the pledge. This is why we will lead us. It's the flag of the United States of America. It's a great republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. We will open with tonight's presentation of the budget. Mr. Sagan, Mr. Collin, how are we gonna?
We're gonna share this.
Mr. Collins gonna walk us through.
Okay.
So if the board would like to take a seat in the front row, or you can stay where you're at, it's up to you, but I gotta follow this up so that the recording also has it. Give me just a second. Yeah, they need now. Yeah. Hopefully, if we synchronize things properly, those up here, the people at home will see it then talking. Since the last meeting, the administration has spent significant amount of time to come up with ways to close the gap, and we did close the gap. There's not a lot of specifics. We'll give you some more specifics tonight to get to almost a balanced number. We're not quite there yet. The board will continue to discuss it and give some direction to the administration over the next few days. And I hope in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think it is, at the next board meeting, we'll have numbers that the board will be able to approve to put out to the community. But tonight, we're listening that. So we've updated the numbers. Last meeting, if you were here or not, you can watch the recording. There was a list of items to help us reconcile the gap that we had. Those numbers have now been applied to the highlighted column here. So we went from a $28,495,000 expenditure budget down to now $27,572,000. I'll go over the detail of what makes that up in a few minutes here. On the other side, on the revenue side, we've had some adjustments as well, but you'll see the bottom number there is not $27,572,000, it's $27,389,000. So we still have a gap of about $182,000 at this point in time. That's what I'm talking about when I say the board, the administration will continue to do have some discussions, come up with some ideas to close that gap over the next few days, into the next few weeks. Within these numbers, I really want to go over the details here of what the adjustments were. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the prior 2 slides. So here, highlighted in red especially are the items that have changed since the last meeting. Last meeting we talked about when we got our actual numbers from BOE, we increased those by $14,594. All of the items that are highlighted that are in black reference back to the meeting 2 weeks ago. The items that are in red are what have been adjusted based on new information that we have. One of the items, item number 2, we talked about. If you recall, last 2 meetings, I really said $16 million is the number that I had proposed in state aid, and that was an aggressive number. That was higher than the governor's number. That was basically anticipating a 3% increase for foundation aid, which did not occur, has not occurred. She had proposed a 1% increase. The Assembly and the Senate legislative bodies have both proposed a 2% increase. So we moved that up to that 2%. It's still $158,000 reduction from $16 million. And that $158,000 is if you take the governor's proposal down here at the bottom, she was at $16,025,000. We removed the BOCES aid, or excuse me, the UPK aid, Universal Pre-K, because that's in a separate fund. Get to $15,745,000 is our estimated from the governor's proposal. We get that additional percent, that's only of foundation aid, that's $96,000 of prior year number of $9,621,000, $15,841. That's the number that you see there is our new anticipated or estimated aid for 2026-27. So that's item number 2 and the reason for the reduction in our state aid. Any questions on that?
Subject to change.
Well, I don't know, it's possibly subject to change, but I think the concern is at best we're going to get to a 2%. We're not looking or we're not anticipating anymore. And even included in there, there are estimates for BOCES aid, transportation aid, special education aid, numbers that they use budgeted information for. Often our budgeted numbers are higher than our actual final numbers. So each year I talked about this, is like, we get estimates from the governor and then from the adopted budget, but those are not the numbers that we actually end up realizing in state aid. I'll go down to number 8. We talked about the positions that are retiring in number 6 up here. There are 4 positions that we would choose we would not fill based upon the enrollments and we can do with our programming. We were looking at reducing a math position. We didn't think that would be possible, so the administration has met and talked about this extensively. And right now, they think we can go from a full-time to a half-time math position. You see not a huge amount of savings because that's currently filled by a retiree, but that's the increase to the math, or actually reduction from 1 to a half in 2026-27. There are a number of BOCE services that are being recommended to be eliminated for 2026-27, and I've given that information to the board. I'll read the programs off. We do not have that on a slide. I'll just read them off quickly. And again, recommendations at this point in time. Included in there is the elimination of the regional program for excellence, elimination of psychology and sociology programs for BOCES, long distance learning, elimination of the portable planetarium program, elimination of the R for K through BOCES, ready for kindergarten program through BOCES, elimination of the positivity project, elimination of the Colgate seminar, reduction of MyTech slots from 3 students to 1, reduction of the collection developments down to 13, but really 16 through 20, with some 3 of those being paid for with box top funds, and reduction of technology purchases from BOCES from $75,000 down to $50,000, and lastly, a reduction of summer curriculum from $20,000 down to $10,000. All of those reductions add up to that $102,000 that you see up there in BOCES services. Now, we recognize, and certainly a discussion that we have, when you eliminate BOCES costs, you're eliminating aid the following year. And that is a true statement. We get 72% aid on every dollar that we spend with BOCES. Problem is, when we're looking to cut, it's either services or people. And the choice of administration to this point has been, we prefer to eliminate services and keep as many people as we can. Even as it is, and it's highlighted on the sheet that you have all of the yellow slots, Board of Education. And we talked about this in the past, the elimination of 4 instructional positions, the elimination of 2 non-instructional positions, my position. There's another instructional position that was eliminated even from the beginning in the elementary school. I think we're looking at 9.5 positions less in 26-27 than we have in 25-26, based on the proposed information that's in front of you right now. Athletics and co-curricular are another area that we would look to reduce some of the expenses in. And again, I'll read the programs, and basically it's eliminating the junior varsity programs, at least initially. So I don't really need to go over that. If you have a child in the JV program, you know that program: basketball, volleyball, baseball, softball, whatever it may be. But initially, it's looking at eliminating the junior varsity programs with the idea that we have a modified program for kids in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. We have varsity programs for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. Obviously, subject to discussion, and if we could find money, and there's participation numbers, we would look to bring some of those programs back, but we have to have the money to do that. The other items are pretty straightforward. We budgeted $50,000. We've done that for the last number of years in equipment. Most of that goes to the O&M department. Lawn tractors, floor scrubbers, different machines that are needed in that department that are not inexpensive. We would scale that back to $30,000 for 2026-27. The instructional materials aid, we've typically budgeted $111,000 there. That's for textbooks, software, hardware, and library materials. We get about $92,000 or $90,000 from the state back in that. We've continued to supplement that state aid with some local funds, about $20,000. For 26-27, we're saying we only spend what the state's going to give us. So that's pulling that $111,000 down to about $91,000, a savings of $20,000. And the last hard item up here, item number 16, would be rent from BOCES for using the middle school and high school for summer school in this summer. So that was not included there initially. We weren't sure what the what the school is gonna look like over the summer. At this point in time, I think we've got pretty solid commitment from BOCES that is going to happen. So that $25,000 for summer school is there. 2 meetings ago, and last meeting, we talked about the $1,031,000 was our gap initially. Those things take care of about $900,000+ of it. We still have that $182,000 gap at this point in time. And at this moment, I mean, it's not me that should be saying this, but I think to get any further down that $182,000, we can look for revenue from some places, and I think there's potential for BOCES to rent a few classrooms and not counting on any more state aid. But then the other area would most likely be staffing. A position or two that would be required to be eliminated. So those would be people that are currently here that would be anticipating coming back in 26, 27, September of 26, that to balance our budget, we may have to eliminate those positions. Any comments or questions on this?
That would get us to a 2.89 tax increase.
That would get us to the tax levy limit of 2.94%.
Nice.
Thank you, Tony. Very good.
Number 13, the athletics, you just said JV before, the co-curricular ones that are being.
Oh, I'm sorry. Initially, co-curricular, we had middle school art, elimination of the reading program, elimination of the Tri-M Honor Society, I believe it is, elimination of the Colgate seminar, and elimination of the all-school assembly.
Charlie, number 2 for the state aid, that is what's supposed to be passed April 1, correct? But I never really happened on time, but when will we know certain if when it passes, once it passes?
When it's passed, when we will know for certain, exactly, yeah. We can anticipate, I mean, both houses said we were gonna move that 1% number that the governor proposed, increases foundation aid to 2%. But until it's passed, she's going to negotiate too. She's gonna say, look at all this money I'm giving everybody for pound or universal precinct, whatever. But we can hopefully get that 96,000. Yes. Other comments or questions on these items at all? I mean, honestly, this is where we're at with the budget. There's not a lot of other information to provide at this moment. It's now kind of in the board's hands to make a decision on how we're going to reconcile that $182,000. I'm sure we'll get together and talk about that a little bit later this evening. This I've already talked about how we got to the new state aid number 15,841,000. I just want to talk to remind people we will have a proposition for buses, 3 buses this year. We'll also have information included in the budget would be to do another capital outlay project. But beyond that, here's where we're at with our budget: 27,572,000, an increase of 1.41%. But still, even with that small of an increase in our overall budget, we're at a gap of about $180,000. Question, Jeanette?
That's still with the tax increase of 2.94% as last time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the 9,572,000 is the increase from our current levy. I think it's about 9,278,000 of 2.94%. Okay.
If the board decided to ask to go above the tax cap, what does that number look like in order to close the gap?
So 4.9% would take care of the $182,000.
With those cuts mentioned.
Yeah, everything from 1 through 16 is in place. Number 17, we could say increase the tax levy from 2.94 to 4.9%. That would cover, that'd be $182,000.
We're hoping the board does that.
Understood.
Yeah.
I was hoping that the board is not going to do.
Oh, increase the taxes.
Yeah.
This is. Okay. Got it.
Just as a comment with that. My family's been living in Harmony for years. The older generation can. I understand everything that's going on, financial lifestyle. Schools.
There's no other questions. Okay, no other questions. I'm gonna turn this back over to Mr. Nicotera and stop sharing this presentation. Thank you.
We'd like to hear from you in regards to the presentation. If there's any questions you have relevant to what was just presented by Mr. Cowan, he's here and we're willing to address any concerns that you have. Please feel free. Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, I was kind of surprised, indirectly relates to this, but I was surprised to hear that you broke down the other budget with a project manager one. Seemed like an obvious decision to me. I wasn't here last, but I was kind of wondering, if this budget is broken down, is there a possibility that you would put that budget, reconsider that option, put that up for vote against?
That's a very good question.
No.
I don't believe, and if we have to get some interpretation on that, I don't believe that we're able to do that. What would happen is if we go out at 4.9 and that's defeated, we can go out one more time at an adjustable rate. If we fail then,
Yes,
we go back to last year's percent in last year's budget. So if we risk and lose that, we lose the 2.89% increase that we would get in state aid this year, and it would go back to last year's.
I understand the risk. I spent 15 years on school boards myself, 5 years on a local board and 10 years on the BOCE's board. Just seems to me that the board has basically two categories of responsibility. You have a responsibility to the education of the students, and you have a responsibility to the taxpayers. And it seemed like you kind of did not adhere to those responsibilities. In either case, you're losing on both ends of the decision. So I was viewing it as the only hope getting that straightened out. We need to vote down the budget and let me put it back up again.
So thank you.
It may be too late. BOCES may make a decision other than this way. You may lose the opportunity.
Well, it's not too late on BOCES end, but for us to have restructured our district, we had to submit an application to the state ed department that was due in early March.
Mhm.
And so I don't know that they would allow us to extend that deadline if we took a revote. So essentially, as Mr. Cowan stated, we've already reduced 9.5 positions for the upcoming school year. So we've got a little gap. So we've got 3 options. The options are to propose a modest tax increase. And again, we can show you exactly what that would look like. But it's not significant, it's not insignificant, but it's a modest tax increase. Or another option is to reduce 2 more staff positions, 1 or 2 more staff positions, which again, the ones we've reduced already, they were retiring staff. Thank goodness we didn't have to cut anybody, but another option is to reduce current staff numbers, which is not the direction we want to go. We can avoid that, we will. And the third option is to spend from our fund reserve, which you never want to enter budgets needed to spend from your fund reserve, but those are the 3 options.
I want to take a moment, sir, to clarify that. Please understand that there was no legitimate bona fide offer from BOCES. There was a wish. And that wish was open for discussion. There was no legitimate, here's $700,000, $800,000. These are the rooms that we want to rent. It was a discussion item, and to this day has never gone any further than the discussion.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. When I saw the newsletter,
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wanted to clarify that you understand. People, again, unless I travel the community, we turned down $700,000. And I stopped right there saying, no, sir, we did not turn down $700,000. There was no presentation of $700,000. There was a wish that possibly if discussions went further over a period of time, maybe that would happen. Now it looks like we may have a discussion where they might rent 6 rooms. Maybe. We had that discussion last year and they couldn't find staff to fill those rooms. So if we had gone this is my opinion, if we had gone further with an assumption of we were going to gain 700 or close to that in BOCES aid, in rental, that would have been a very poor decision to lead the community in that direction and never receive that money. But I don't want to discuss it with you, okay? Thank you. Anyone else? This is how we learn, folks. We need to hear from you.
What's gonna be the other costs for staff? What's your other?
I'm going to refer to Mr. Cowan and Mr. Staten because this Board of Education is not to discuss those cuts. We will tonight. This was an administrative presentation and we were not part of it. We will become part of that, but we have not formulated that. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so these are potential cuts. I don't want to tell you we're committed to cutting because we're not, but the 2 positions that we're looking to cut would potentially be a music position and a PE position. But again, those are just, they're on the table. Please don't leave here tonight thinking that we're cutting a gym teacher and a music teacher, but those are what we potentially learn. Yes, sir.
So then what was the criteria for that other than being new teacher content? Because there were over 6 new hires at the beginning of the year, including a second grade teacher and others. So I'm just wondering why those 2 positions made that list.
Well, I can tell you that you mentioned a second grade teacher, the elementary school has already lost, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Reed, 3 positions through this proposal. The middle school has lost a position and we'll see teachers traveling to the high school, and the high school has lost a position or 2 as well. We're also looking at, academics, extracurriculars, what's special, what's mandated. And again, these are just potential cuts. Nothing is confirmed yet. We're looking at as Mr. Cohen said, we spent many hours in the last week looking line by line. We're still continuing to explore areas that we can cut without reducing staff. But I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope it did.
Raises a few more, especially since you, above others, on this board and administration, know exactly these for year. So what you cited for the other districts, for the other buildings, of course,
Yeah, it's no secret. I was the president of the Fine Arts Boosters for many years before I came to school. I'm a strong advocate for music and drama, clearly. So the last thing I want to see is us cut a music position.
Have you say any other organizations other than BOCES? I just know UCPE and Head Start used to rent out. Have we had any other interest other than BOCES to rent out classrooms?
Not to my mind. UCP, they pulled out of here a couple of years ago. And BOCES, it wasn't BOCES coming to us, it was us going to BOCES seeking these.
I just said that something that kind of people like another organization was, educational organization, I should say, is looking to rent rooms, is that?
I think anything would be on the table at this point. Yeah. If you know anybody looking for lease space, let us know because Any other questions related to budget? What's in our fund balance? So I think we tapped out around 3.9 million, but this year, because during COVID, before COVID hit, we were just over $1 million. Correct me if I'm wrong, but during COVID, the government started flooding schools with funding, and so we built the fund balance up to about 3.9 million. We've seen an increase in our fund balance the last few years. This school year is the first year that we've actually had to spend from our fund balance. We will probably spend about 400, maybe 500,000 from our fund balance this year, fund reserve. So it's starting to go down. And as I said, you never want to enter a budget season planning to spend from your fund reserve. But
David, what was that spent on?
Well, a lot of it was special education services that we didn't anticipate this year. That was a good portion of it. To be honest, it's
Even though we don't want to spend it. And pick up on your 82,000.
Just speak up a little bit, you can't hear you.
I said, even though you don't like to spend it, if you had to take $182,000, it's not like you're taking out $1 million. You know what I mean? So instead of going at like 2.94, say you went out just a little bit higher. Okay, but can use the 180,000 for the fund balance, what you're gaining from raising the taxes a little bit above the 2.94, you put that back into the fund balance, am I correct? No, I don't know, I'm asking.
I'm not sure what's what.
So say,
That-
we don't wanna go at 5%, okay?
Neither do we.
So 2.94, and then you have $182,000 gap, say you went out at 3.5, okay? Would some of that you get back be able to go with the fund balance? I don't know how that works, and I'm not gonna pretend.
When we look at the fund balance, we would help close the current budget gap.
Right, you have to say, but take whatever you have to, and take less than 180 to fund balance, and take some out and meet halfway.
Right.
Thank you, that's the better.
Yeah,
Split the
split the
difference.
difference. So
So
we
it's
went
not-
out at
it's not hard.
1% over and then took the difference out of the.
Thank you.
But I I also want to point out the third line down. We're already appropriating over $1 million from the fund balance to reconcile the budget. Now, hopefully obviously we don't intend to spend all that, but that's already earmarked for this budget. But you're right, if we propose any type of tax increase, that would just help.
It doesn't just look like your taxpayers are just getting. I'm gonna just say it the way I would say, hammered every year. You know what I mean? So at least show a little bit, give a little, take a little bit here, so it's not just like.
Agree. Or someone went back. Oh, is that you, Miss Sen? Sorry.
Well, I want to go over here, or in fact, like John had roughly like all the reasons of what changed and what increased. And what stood out to me was just the healthcare cost. And then like things like it had gone on like this huge amount. Is there somebody, or I don't know where you get it from, because is there somebody that it wasn't on these numbers? Yeah, it was very high. It was, and I mean, not that you don't feel that they charge that, but is there anything, or who is in charge of negotiating of those prices, or is there a way to? That wasn't like a $600,000 increase.
Yes, so we are in a healthcare consortium with other schools in the region. Many of them are in the OHM-BOCES component districts. And yeah, last year we had a 12% increase. This year we just voted on a 10% increase. And that's just because of rising healthcare costs. So you're right, that's part of the reason why we're seeing such an increase in our budgets, because $600,000 of that is just the increase alone in healthcare costs.
Or you put the same, that's huge. That's the increase, current banking or something. Or who's in charge of negotiating that, or can they get that even number down?
Yeah, we've got, and that's why we're in that healthcare consortium with many other schools, so that helps reduce the risk. And we've actually proposed, the OHM Healthcare Consortium is proposing to merge with the Herkimer Consortium just to increase the pool size, increase the covered lives, and potentially lower, not only lower risk, but potentially lower costs. I mean, we wouldn't see a significant savings in costs, but we would potentially see something. But yes, that's definitely something that's on our radar, is trying to, we just don't have a lot of flexibility and.
What? That's what that's about.
Yeah.
Negotiate for who has the access to it, could do anything.
We're trying. I mean, there's not a lot we can do on that end, but we're doing everything we can.
Yes, sir.
make it super simple question, 2.94%. Is that the standing rate or is that an increase?
That's an increase, that's where we go, that's the tax levy limit, yeah,
So that's there was an increase from what we had paid.
yes. So that, yeah,
Can I ask a question, Mr. Cowan? Help me out on this one. Okay. We're allowed to go 2.89, which I believe is our goal. We want to keep it there. Which shows that we're short $182,000. As Mrs. Latella said, if we allocated that as a line item and tightened our spending throughout the course of the year to next June, we have a $27 million budget. Can we tighten our spending weekly, monthly, and save $182,000? That's just a line item. We're never going to spend it, but it's there to keep us at 2.89. Is that possible?
Most of our spending is people, benefits. And then BOCES, special education is a huge number there. So 182 would be, here's $2 million for your supplies and your contractual, and contractual includes utilities, insurances, some special education costs for services and private placements. So 182 on, let's say, $1 million is 18%. So can we save 18% of our discretionary expenditures? Pretty hard, I would say. Things got to fall in place. Some special ed, it jumped this year. If it drops in 26, 27, then it can happen. But you can't count on that happening from year to year.
I've mentioned to Mr. Staten, I've mentioned to the board, and Mrs. Duras, excuse me, Mrs. Arcure, maiden name is Duras. Every month, we approve recommendations for extended services. Some of them are astronomical, and I would never deny a child that opportunity. But before we spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, should we examine them at a higher level?
Yeah, I mean.
We're not denying services, but
Legally bound to provide the recommended services that the committee decides on per student.
right, I truly understand that.
Some of the things we can do, like what we're doing, is open our own classroom in the high school so that we're not paying out to BOCES. 4 students equals a whole position. So if we have 4 students who are attending one program, we can open that program ourselves and save that money. The problem is we're a small district and there are 3 kids that need this particular program, and a kid moves into our district who's at a residential placement, across the state. We're just legally on the line for it. That, we can look at it, we can be as smart as we can with making decisions. The crux is sometimes when people know that you're a district that does right by students, you tend to draw more of those students in. We can be careful about it, but we also are legally bound to provide what it's needed.
I do, I understand that well.
I know.
But in many cases, and you answered my question, in many cases, students will move into the district because they've been denied the placement somewhere else from a district where they were previously residing.
No,
So-
because they come in with that already in place.
Okay,
So just a question on the special ed too. So we're gonna be running our own program in the high school this year, right? I know it's hard to forecast because of exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if things were to stay as they are, how much money will we save by having the new program? We
I
don't.
think we said $84,000.
See for
Yeah, number 5.
Because probably just one, there was one student who no longer needed to have a one-on-one aid with them in a BOCES program, that's at line number 12.
Okay.
That saved us $64,000.
one student, $64,000.
Now, we only have a handful of students with that level of need, and those students have that because they actually have that level of need, but that's what the problem is.
Today we can't We can't forecast what the new school year brings.
And I thought going into this year, our costs were gonna be lower, and then we had a couple of families that had higher needs, and that's where we ended up.
And many of them,
I was reluctant to let the flux in that numbers be something we really count on year to year, so we just don't know.
and many a times, these are families that come into the community,
A couple,
spend a year, turn around, move somewhere else, go somewhere else. And when they move into our district, we're paying $60,000-$70,000. We're looking to save $182,000. I'm just saying,
yeah,
can we look at it better?
yeah, and I,
Is there a better
the
way?
number of students that have needs that are that high are just maybe 5 in the entire district. Most of our students, the level of need that we have is more like a $40,000 per student cost. But that's what they.
And that's, I go back to my question to Charlie, I'm just saying, when you're short $182,000 and you're faced with 1 or 2 or 3 students moving into the district, they're absorbing that $182,000. Right now, we can go back to 2.89 and close this meeting right now.
But we are legally bound to provide.
I know that, and I'm just asking, can we look back? And I know you will.
Yeah, we do, we.
This is very good, we'll look back.
Making sure that we're meeting the needs and not overspending.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I think she is. I mean, as she said, she's the one that recommended we bring the 12 1-to-1 here, that's 80,000. And as she said, a lot of these costs are unanticipated because they just move in and we can't anticipate that. Ms. Lewis.
To that point, and, well, we currently plan for one student, 238 miles twice a week with 2 employees for 6 hours. Yeah, and I understand we're legally bound, and I'm not questioning that, but this has been going on for most of the year. Is there a way to get them placed closer? I understand we have to provide services, but this has to be halfway across the state.
It does because that student being already placed in that.
But can't they be placed closer?
You know, I will,
In another year. Then.
yeah, I will gladly talk to you tomorrow about this if you don't mind. I just
Yeah,
want to be pretty.
when somebody
Processes.
comes in and it's already been determined that this is their. Then we are bound to provide that support of that level that was determined.
And the other piece of that puzzle, maybe Mr. Reed can help me on that, is the McKinney Venture students. I understand that we are bound to transport them. We're not questioning that. My question is the longevity. Isn't there a limit? I mean, year 6, year, how long can you be?
So the simple answer is no, there's no limit to the time, the federal law states that there's no limit to that time limit. We follow the laws, I mean, we understand the laws are challenging to follow sometimes financially, but we, as the law said, we have to follow the law with these things, so. Fortunately, no.
Yes, sir. Is that Mr. Moore?
Yep.
So I know we're trying to save in every way we can, here is just a thought, and I only speak on what I know. We, until recently, heated a 13-bay bus garage with diesel buses at 60 and 65 degrees. I can't even imagine, I don't see it, the national grid. Perhaps we could do better on that, by lowering the temperature for box truck. And every little bit helps, and if we can save a position, in majors.
It's a very good point.
Just recently, due to me complaining, we have lowered it to all winter long. I don't see any reason it has to be that for storage.
Good point. Thank you. Mr. Decker.
A little bit.
Obviously, I've presented to the board many times about music position, so everybody's aware, but I guess just to publicly just say a few things. Music is required K-12. And so the elimination of a music position, unfortunately, because of low, seniority, is an instrumental position, which would virtually be the elimination of the 7th grade through 12th grade more or less band program. Because of that, which may save the district money, but because of that, that also means that we at the middle school would then have to increase the number of sections of general music class. which means that the staff that we currently have would then have to teach more sections. And the three of us are full, I mean, all four of us are full, but we're full, which would mean the elimination of, potentially the elimination of both blue credit courses at the high school, reduction of other things at the high school, because we need to cover kindergarten through eighth grade is mandated, like you have to do it. And then we also have to provide students with the opportunity for music at the high school because they need it for graduation requirements. So on paper, it sounds like a potential idea. The problem is that you're eliminating half of an entire instrumental program. I can't imagine the community supporting, like starting a kid in 5th and 6th grade band and then just being like, well, there's no band for you after 6. I just can't see that happening. I mean, I know it looks good and what doesn't look good. You guys have a very difficult job to try to make this work. I just want to publicly state that it's not a cut and dry. We can eliminate this position. There will be huge changes to the program at Sequoia. And I don't want to speak for the colleagues in the department, but if a position like that is eliminated, you're talking no more all county festivals for students, no more state festivals for students. You're talking potentially no more jazz band because those kids don't have the instrumental ability to play, so that's probably gone. I mean, there's just like a domino effect to eliminate a quarter, because the music program is a K-12 program, but it's also general music, vocal music, and instrumental music. In some districts, it's also orchestra. So there's 4 of us teaching 3 separate content areas. It's very thin. So I just wanted to make that known. You guys, it's very difficult to try to make the problem that you have.
Just briefly,
Yeah.
so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've been here long enough to remember when you were fighting for the music. That being said, the information that you provided, Charlie, on some of the custodies, JV sports, et cetera. I spoke about this at the meeting 2 weeks ago. This is a more Eaton school when these things are going. Told you, Dave, Mr. State had said, and learn out, parent square, talking to the cops. And Morrisville Eaton is decimated. And looking like Morrisville Eaton. And by the way, thank you for coming today, Mr. Flagg. I appreciate you. I know this is very difficult to go through all these cuts. And it's even more interesting sitting up here. But it's pretty rough. But thank you. I was looking at speaking and not speaking, but that's just how I feel.
For that, I think.
I think it's more towards, so forgive my ignorance. So we have that high school special ed classroom. Let's say it's a 12-1. Maybe I don't know, but that means up to 12 students. Now, if we only have 5 students there, can we then have other kids from other districts and bring in more friends and that?
Yep, we've already canvassed other districts to see if they would sit in sending students. Unfortunately, that is not a highly sought after classroom. That's a class that districts do have, in their own schools, so there's not a huge need for it.
Now that our elementary schools follow 1 and 2, and there's not folks there, right?
One is close. Yeah, but we always do offer that opportunity.
But it is out there, and others.
Yeah, and sometimes schools will reach out and Charlie and I work together and work out what that price is for tuition based.
Now, if one of them was to come, that would be, I mean, how much money would that?
I think the limit of what you can charge.
I guess I'm retiring, so I'm gonna say, when I got the bus dispatcher and the librarian asking the CSE chair how we run our special education program, I have a problem with that. Sorry about that. But Noel, you do not need to answer these questions. You've answered them to every administrator for 5 weeks straight. We've tried everything. I apologize.
You've cut the mold off the cheese.
I'm sorry.
Bottom line is, yes, we have made that offer, and maybe right now they're not prepared, they don't have students, but that doesn't mean it won't change during the school year, and we have the option to take.
Mrs. Kidder, is that
I
you?
would just like to say, videoing Mr. Decker, if he's gonna talk about PE. We are already taking a hit at PE because the PE department is absorbing Mr. Jones's part-time health position. So PE really is already losing a 0.5 position in this account further. And we are mandated as well, and we are required to teach every student K through 12. And quite honestly, we have, I would like proudly to say, one of the best phys ed programs local. Mr. DeBerno and I just got asked to present at a conference in Western New York because of things that we're doing here at Sequoia Valley. And I feel very strongly about that. I hope that the board feels very strongly about that, and that losing a position takes us out of a state mandate, which to my knowledge, we're meeting all other state mandates. And we're doing a fantastic job for our students. I have even more data about what our obesity rates are, and I need to come and present in the next few weeks, but we are doing amazing things here, and you're losing a position. We're already losing a 5 position. We're now going to 5 full-time PE teachers and essentially 1 health teacher in our, so it looks like on paper 6 people, it's not, it's 5 full-time PE teachers, 1 full-time health teacher, which is not ridiculous for a district of our size. Again, talking to other people and other colleagues on our conference day the other day, we're right on par with all of the other districts.
So if I could just follow up with that, so she mentioned that she might present to the board too, so she's working on a PE plan, it's due every, what, 3-4 years, we need to update that, 7, okay. We need to update that with SED. And then she's created a PowerPoint that she would like to present to the board, and it shows, you know, it's a very rigorous PE program, so at some point, we would like to invite her when that PE plan itself gets really developed, and then you can see really the mandates, because I think sometimes we don't really understand what's required, especially at the elementary school with everyday requirements for physical education. Thank you, Ms. Cutter.
Yes, sir.
The new budget document, is that going to absorb the additional fuel costs and everything going up? And the electric is keeps rising, or we kind of riding on the, you know what I mean? There's gonna be a quick budget. I don't know.
Right, well, we hope we've got enough in there to, you know, part of the capital project is also an energy performance contract, so we're gonna be, you know, installing new lights and taking some measures to hopefully reduce our energy costs. But you're right, I mean, that's just one more, you know, factor we have to navigate through next year with the budget is escalating energy costs. Again, we can't necessarily predict what those will look like.
That we should go what, but gotta have fun. Then we are that kind of big things that those rises.
Okay. Just
I think about restructuring like the bus routes and stuff, because I feel like every parent drives. Who's really on the bus? You know, the bus, you guys know more than I know than that. Right, so I mean, are there some, they are, from the time I just hit from to kindergarten to probably like 7th grade, that bus route, and they now ride different. You know, so they've already eliminated some of this, looking at the stats of who's actually driving students to school. Are we running 2 extra bus routes that we don't necessarily have? When we're always short on bus drivers.
Right, we had last year, I believe it was last year, we reduced bus run already. Because we have a new software package for transportation, and it allowed us to cut down a route. You know, there are, you know, as Brian said, I apologize, I'm drawing a blank on your last name right now, but the elementary runs, correct me if I'm wrong, are often full. It's just sometimes in the middle of high school. Often they're full, sometimes they're not. And I know, you know, individuals see sometimes a bus that looks like it's half full, half empty. But there are also requirements, like we have to provide transportation for those students, and sometimes parents drive, but sometimes they don't, and so we have to be able to accommodate them.
But if they're always 50 to 75% full, around up 2 more roads.
Well,
We wrote 3 kids in a seat in high school on a peanut bus.
yeah, I mean, part of the consideration too is the time factor. You know, we start increasing, you know, decrease you know, pull a route off, and then increase the length and the time of the other routes, and then they're just, I mean, we've got a couple of buses, honestly, that are already challenged to get here on time. I mean, they're late a lot. So there are a lot of factors. I know it's sometimes some of these solutions look easy to implement, they're just not as easy as they're, but I mean, we have looked at that. And any other questions about the budget? All right, at this point, we will continue with the board meeting. Thank you.
All right. Board of Education Subcommittee reports, Mr. Staton, do we have anything?
We do. So policy committee just met before the board meeting, and so we'll be putting forward a few policies and regulations for approval at the next meeting. The School Board Institute, they will host the Herkimer BOCES program showcases occurring on Thursday night at Herkimer BOCES. So School Board Institute members or anyone really is welcome to attend that. And then curriculum instruction, I'm hoping to potentially meet over spring recess, and I'll send out a new meeting invite in the next couple of days for that. And that is it for a subcommittee report.
Did you have a committee today?
Policy.
All right, we'll move into superintendent's report. I will read, 5.1 through.
I'll do this. I'll do this.
You did it?
Superintendent report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. 7.13. Okay.
So upcoming senior appointments, you can see the list there. I don't know if I should need to read these, but we've got several staff members coming up for tenure in September. So we just like to, highlight those, and that list will be published in our newsletter as well, so the community has a chance to weigh input. But obviously, we think highly of those teachers if we're recommending them for tenure. One of them sitting right over to our left. Thank you for that. Moving right along, annual BOCES meeting is April 1st, and I know most of you are signed up for that, so we look forward to seeing showcase of students in the CT program there. Tomorrow, there will be a blood drive in collaboration with the Red Cross, and that will be right here in this auditorium. On Thursday night, the elementary school will be hosting its science fair, and that begins at 5 o'clock, so everyone's welcome to come on down to the elementary school and do that. And tonight, as we speak, the CTE Honor Society induction ceremony is taking place, and that's why one of our board members, Kathy Familia, is not here because her daughter is being inducted. So these students, Emma Conklin, Juliana Holmquist, Alexander Pupa, Gordon Tibbetts, and Damon Price are all being inducted into the CTE/PTEC Honor Society. So congratulations to those students. And that is all I have for the superintendent.
Okay. I'll move on to 5.1 through 7.13. I will read them. Board of Education members have any questions or concerns, please bring it to our attention. 5.1 is looking for your approval of the upcoming tenure appointments. 7.1 is looking for the approval of a retirement. 7.2 is looking for approval of a substitute teacher. 7.3 is looking for your approval of a long-term substitute. 7.4 is looking for your approval of a resignation. 7.5 is looking for your approval of a substitute teacher aide. 7.6 is looking for the approval of a permanent status change. 7.7 is looking for your approval of another permanent status change. 7.8 is looking for the approval of additional athletic appointments for the 2025-26 school year. 7.9 is looking for your approval of shared service agreement with the town of Paris. 7.10 is looking for your approval of the budget modification. 7.11 is looking for your approval of the minutes of our March 10th, 2026 meeting. 7.12 is looking for your approval of a resolution authorizing payment of bills as approved by our claims auditor. 7.13 is looking for your approval of the Committee on Special Education, Committee on Preschool Special Education recommendations. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
I just want to just make a comment on 7.1. So
Yeah.
for Mrs. Currington, all three of my children have Mrs. Currington. She is the definition of a passionate teacher. And I think it's going to be such a huge loss, but obviously wish her well in her retirement. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins.
Read, Patty.
Mrs. Singleton?
Yep, so just a couple of comments. Yeah, just to piggyback on what Ms. Collins stated, I mean, I can't even put it into words. The loss is going to be for Tammy Perkins to retire, but good for her, and we all certainly support her decision. 7.10, I just want to thank the Sequoia Valley Foundation for their support with the batting cages for the baseball program, and then finally 7.9, the town of Paris. I believe Ms. Collins, Mr. Nicotera, and I attended our recent board meeting with the town of Paris and just thank them for their collaboration. So we appreciate their connection on this with this agreement to clean up our roads after winter when it finally ends. So, that's all, thank you.
We're close. Board of Education, I need a motion to approve 5.1 through everything I read. Kuzik, second. Mr. Fratelli, all in favor? All are approved. We'll move on to item 8, looking for the approval of a diesel school bus proposition. Any elaboration on this?
No, just to be clear, these are all diesel buses.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the approval of the diesel bus proposition for the ballot. This is Collins. Second, Mr. Seckel, all in favor? Okay, motion approved. And that's all included in that, right? Move on to miscellaneous topics, Board of Education. Once again, we'll open up for public to be heard. Any follow-up questions or concerns or comments? Yes,
Just have a general announcement. We have a really cool event April 27th coming to the district. Baldwin House is a professional acapella group in Boston that we hired through, through the poster mostly, but, and also we're charging tickets. Maybe we should accept donations for the budget cap as well. But hopefully we can pack the place. It's going to feature, we're going to have like opening acts. So like the concert choir is going to sing as well as our chamber choir and select choir. But then colleagues from Clinton and Whitesboro are bringing their chamber choir and we're combining it to like a mega chamber choir. We're singing some really cool pieces with them as well. And then Baldwin House is going to do a full set, at least an hour 15, I think, of just their music. They're really cool. It's like a soul, R&B, pop, acapella group. It's sort of like pentatonic. They're all men. Really cool event. Tickets are $10, and then at the very end, all the students are going to go up and sing a closing. We've participated with them for years. They've come to like Clinton or Whitesboro, and it's a good opportunity for our students here because we don't really ever get concerts in Sequoia like this kind of caliber. So I just wanted to announce that event.
Awesome, thank you. Second.
Thank you, Ryan.
I have a question. So are we trying for $10? Are we just trying to break even to pay that? Or
Most have. I think we've sold 80 tickets to break even. We need to sell 130, I think. I don't have the exact number, Charlie, but I think 130 breaks even. Anything other than that is a profit. So, tickets are available now, and we're going to send out another. I think Mr. State sent out one a few weeks ago. We're going to send out more announcements about it. It would be great if we could pack this place. Because 400 extra tickets, it's $4 grand. The district.
Are the other schools, obviously they're aware of that, buying tickets as well?
Yeah, I mean, to Clinton and Whitesboro, I sent posters to them, so.
You would think that would sell out.
I would hope so. I mean, we've had mixed success, depending on, and Clinton's theater is much larger than ours. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to judge, but there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get 200 people. They're worth it. They're a really good group, and they're really great guys. They work really well with students. They're going to workshop after school with students and they're out of Boston.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. We're going to executive session to discuss personnel issue. Mrs. Collins, second, Mr. Fratelli. Board of Education will go into a executive session to discuss personnel matters. Thank you for your attendance, folks.